So a pretty good tactic in terms of dealing with the question that you're not prepared to answer. The judges at that contest will be using this judging sheet. My first question, what life lesson did you learn the hard way? Kevin?
There are lots of magicians out there that promise you the world, but it's just amazing how people can make money disappear. I guess that was one of the largest lessons that I've learnt, is don't trust people with your money, and like I say, don't be lazy. In my case, go learn yourself how to do it and then invest for yourself.
Kev gave a pretty good example of answering the question. Now those of you who watch news would know that politicians have missed this lesson. Kev's technique was to answer the question, and answered it firstly from a personal experience, and then his way of extending past the minute was, so what I'm saying. And that essentially is a conjunction. A conjunction is a word like and, or so, or but, or if, or then, are all conjunctions. So what they're doing is connecting what you've said with something else. And if you're ever lost for words, it's amazing how just thinking of the word and or but will give you at least as much time as you've already taken. Who do you sometimes compare yourself to? And Neil?
So I think that's a difficult question. Anyone with humility will certainly doubt or have reservations about going out and comparing themselves with someone, because they might be comparing one aspect, and the next journalist along is going to compare them with a whole heap of other aspects, and thereby hangs the noose. Mr. Thomas.
There's something magic about public speaking, and that is the only person in the world who knows what you're going to say next is you. Don't ever forget that. And that's how Neil managed to thread a totally unexpected question. Neil's strategy, and he just made it, I think, 2 minutes 20, wasn't he? So
2 minutes 18.
because the great thing about using the conjunctions is once you've started, you can go forever, and the problem is stopping. I would suggest to anybody going in a table topics competition that they prepare a last sentence. And that, Mr. Chairman, is what I think about comparing yourself to someone, which essentially was the way that Neil stopped.
Yeah.
When was the last time you tried something new? John Parkinson?
Was probably within the last few days. Becoming a silent witness to the carrying on of a guest, a special person in my life now, a guest who visited Rockhampton. And he is a man amongst men. He was an ex-sergeant major in the New Zealand Army, a dear friend and a fellow soldier to one of my older brothers, the same army. The something new part that I tried was keeping my silence in the presence of this man who just commanded everything. He's got rubbish in Australians down to and the extraordinary part about it is they love it. He's just got that manner. He's just got that manner. I seem to be banging all over this bloke. He's a top fella, and it really was a challenge for me, and it's a challenge for everybody at times to keep their silence.
That's a classic. I drove out with John today, and my question to him when he got to the car was, "Oh, how's your week been?" But he told me about this gentleman that came out from New Zealand. No matter what the question is, you can probably relate it to something that's on your mind.
Yeah.
And that's a good way of introducing the topic. This is not just about table topics contests, this is about conversations, and particularly about job interviews, about media interviews. You need to recognise the starting point, but then take it somewhere else. The question was, when did you last try something new? I don't care what the question was. I'm going to tell you what I spent last week. And it worked perfectly well. It took a minute 30 to do it. The next question is, what do you wish you spent more time doing 5 years ago? Steve? Steve, what do you wish you spent more time doing 5 years ago?
I wish 5 years ago I had spent more time fishing. Because if I'd have spent more time fishing 5 years ago, I would be a much better fisherman now. It's true. It's true. Whilst I've used the topic of fishing, really it's true in most of what we do in life. And we spent a little bit more time 5 years ago, perhaps pursuing a passion, something that we knew we were going to head towards, we would all be a whole lot better at it.
Given Steve's answer, Bill, it's probably audacious to ask the question, what can you do now that you couldn't do a year ago? Bill?
Oh, real We all have passions and ambitions and dreams, and sometimes we follow them, sometimes we pursue them, sometimes we work hard on them. Some of us just tick along in life and take it as it comes. Well, I'm gradually developing a run and starting to steer myself a little in this direction, that direction, doing some study, taking up Toastmasters again, all sorts of things that are helping me to steer my life a bit more. I still haven't got a lot of drive. I'm still floating along a bit and just going with the flow, but I am developing a run.
Now, the question that Bill asked is a perfectly good way of using a conjunction. You're not going to get the answer from the topic master, but you will get it from the audience. Essentially, if you've lost your place, what was the question? Gives you time to reposition yourself. You can then redefine the question anyway as anything you want it to be. Is if you had to teach something, what would you teach? If you had to teach something, what would you teach, Bill?
Oh, get another go. Earlier experience. Knowledge is a great thing, and I thoroughly enjoy learning things and exploring new worlds, new places, meeting new people, talking to people, living or not living their lives, but learning about their lives, how they've become themselves. And knowledge is just the most fantastic thing as far as I'm concerned. So if I had to teach somebody something, it would be to learn, to find out how to find information, how to speak with people, how to engage in the world and take in the knowledge of the world. So if I was to teach someone something, it would be learn to learn.
Pretty good tactic of taking a question that's unexpected. And this happens in interviews, it happens You'd think, oh, good grief, thank goodness that one's out of the way. So, Bill, which activities make you lose track of time, Nirosh? Which activities make you lose track of time? Nirosh.
So one of the things that I've always wanted to do in my life is actually to program computers. Now, it's not, probably for the average Caucasian their dream, but man, for an Indian kid, that's just like up there with probably watching Michael Jackson all day or something like that. So now, most people in 6 months will probably, build their own program and, probably create some kind of application that's useful to the rest of the world. Do any of you know what hello world means? That's usually the first thing that you actually teach somebody. As much as I'd like to say I've been learning it, I've been stuck on that for the last 6 months, and I do absolutely plan on learning a bit more about programming.
And Nirosh has a habit of moving over here to speak to people here, then to move here to speak to people here, and moved about 3 or 4 times, which is not quite the same as this sort of dance that people do when they're nervous, with quite distinct and quite definite reasons. How old would you be if you didn't know how old you are?
I would like to be 15 and know what I know now. Simply because on my journey of life, what I've experienced, I thought, why didn't I know that back then? And some of the goals that I had in life haven't worked out the way that I anticipated. But that's okay, because now, when I look back on life, I have loved it, and I have enjoyed everything that I have. And it's people in your life who suggest to you that, hey, you should do this. And sometimes you think, hey, this is not for me. But then when you give it a crack, it works out. And here I am, 12 years later, as a chaplain, and just enjoying life.
The key is to relate to the audience. I think that's something that Cheryl does particularly well. And she does it in a number of ways. And firstly, now, coming from where she's coming from, in terms of talking to a group as a chaplain, is used to engaging with the people. And when you engage with people, you look at them in the eye. And that was one of the things that I noticed particularly about Cheryl's approach to answering the question. She was talking individually to each of us at various times, but while talking to the whole group. And that really is a technique worth emulating. What makes you smile, okay?
Well, a lot of things make me smile. However, I think grandchildren make me smile. I have 3 new baby granddaughters this year, 1 set of twins, and I have 9 grandchildren in all, and I find just thinking about them makes me smile. I enjoy life. I enjoy people. I believe I have a capacity for empathy and compassion, and I enjoy all God's creation virtually. I enjoy animals. I enjoy nature. I thank God every day for the birds outside, for the lovely day, the weather, just the blue sky and the breeze.